Guys, today, as promised, with a little bit of delay, I will answer questions you posted about Demon King Belial. I will not answer all of the questions posted in a video, since the lot of questions is given and I really don't have time for them all, and some of them is answered in previous videos of mine. So I will not be, how can I say, I will not be answering questions I answered previously. So one of the questions asked is Belial a harsh teacher? The short answer is yes, he is a harsh teacher, especially to men. Another question asked, which is kind of interesting one, is how demons perceive time. And my answer to this is they do not perceive time. Time doesn't exist to them. They exist outside of time. And their observation of reality is completely different than what we experience. Another question asked for me is how to develop astral senses with Belial. Well, I already answered it in previous videos of mine, but to keep it short, work on your third eye and work with Belial daily. Somebody else asked how Belial's energy feels. To me, it feels like dark green energy, and it's really potent and powerful. Somebody also asked, can you work with Belial as a beginner? My answer to that is it depends. It mostly depends on your personality. So if you are heavily drawn to this entity, if you are heavily drawn to Belial, then do it. So since I kinda already answered 5 questions from the fan base and a lot of other questions kinda didn't fit the topic, a lot of people just threw their own personal questions they wanna know about their personal lives in a comment section, I will give a little anecdote from my own life, which will kind of give you a lot of insight regarding Belial and his character. So, my first introduction to Belial was actually not the Goetia. It was a video from Eric Arkelus Coeting, the leader of Become a Living God, back in a day when their videos were much more interesting. So I watched a video which is kinda video, I'll maybe link it in the description. It's a video in which he describes how he performed ritual to open the gateway for demons, the gatekeeper ritual, and then what happened is his wife got possessed, and he tried to exorcise Belial from his wife, but it failed. And at the end, his marriage collapsed. So that's how I heard about him. And pretty much after I watched this video, I became really terrified and unwilling to summon Belial. And then what happened is I kinda became magnetically drawn to him after I watched that video. Cause more and more I studied Belial, more and more I became drawn to it, to the pure, how can I say, what drew me to Belial the most and what keeps me in a good relationship with this spirit to this day is the fact that he is really straightforward and he is really honest. and I like his methodology. He is one of the most honest spirits I ever work with, and he is the first and the most harsh when it comes to the calling of a human on his own bullshit. So, Belial is the entity who will immediately call you on your bullshit, and who will destroy your false narcissistic image of self. But Belial is also an entity who doesn't hide that he indeed has his own personal interests, and his own personal interests will, in most occasions, be first to him. And he is one of the spirits who never hides this fact. And he always says to his student that he is willing to work with you and do things for you if you do things for him. And that if he is willing to give you knowledge if you, in return, prove to him that you are worthy of that knowledge. So he never plays tricks, in a sense that he is perfectly authentic with me from the beginning, and I respect him for that. Also, for some reason whatsoever, out of all entities I work with, he was the most blatantly obvious in bringing people in my life. More blatantly obvious than Lilith even. And there is aspect of Belial's work I want to discuss right now, which is a connection of Belial to criminal activity. Now, here I am not referring to some metaphysical criminal activity or illegal activity. I am referring to actual things we consider criminal and illegal in a day-to-day life. Regarding that same criminal activity, Belial is one of the best spirits to work with in order to materialize it. Now we have another question which is connected to this one. Why would a spirit help a mortal being in criminal activity? The question is clear. The chthonic spirits of the underworld are moral relativists, meaning that they can be called for any purpose, and as long as that purpose fits within their office, they will fulfill it. I will give you an example. You can call Belial to help you win court which is unjustly rigged against you, but you can also court him to unjustly rig court case in your favor. So, one same spirit does two opposite tasks to manifest your will. But I already explained how Belial operates. I also need to point out that Belial is not the entity which can be bound easily. And for the end of this video, I need to say this. Regarding Belial, he is eternal mystery. Nobody can truly say what Belial wants, thinks, or what his agenda is. It is beyond our understanding as human beings. And therefore, there is only one real possibility about him. And that possibility is to summon him and let him reveal himself to us, to the degree we are capable of. Now, in this part of the video, I will not necessarily talk about Belial, but I will, however, address a really important question posted to me by a follower of the channel. She said the following: I am doing astral senses development exercise with King Paimon and Agrad Bat Malat for 2 weeks, and I didn't had notable results outside of the pressure in the head, and better visualization. Am I doing everything correctly? This question I answered indirectly previously in many other videos, but since it's coming really often from a great number of people who are following the channel, I am obligated to answer this specific question. Individual who does the exercises does them correctly, but unfortunately he does them for only 2 weeks. And since exercise is did only for 2 weeks by this person, what we can say is that he just started to open his senses. I worked 3 years with entities before I was able to hear them properly. 3 years of almost daily practice. So, how many repetitions is that? How many rituals is that? How many exercises is that? Count a little bit. 3 years for 300 days, that's 900 days of performed ritual before I started to hear spirits. There is only one message for the person who asked this question. Everything is fine. Keep practicing. This is not easy. You need a lot of time to open your senses. This is a craft and this is not a quick fix. Regarding Belial, there is one powerful method of connecting with him, which is however a little bit risky. I published another video on my channel, which is evocation tutorial to Demon King Belial, and that evocation tutorial is on Demon King Belial playlist. So once you watch that evocation tutorial and you master the evocation techniques presented within that tutorial, you can practice this ritual. This ritual is a little bit intense. So what you should do is you should summon Belial and you should ask him to become your patron. And then you should ask him as well to give you a task. Now, this is done only once you are able to hear him, by the way. You ask him to give you a task. And once you complete that task, you will be initiated into mysteries. What that task will be, it depends on who you are and how Belial wants to work with you. But that's really a story for another day about what my task was. But for the purpose of this video, what I am going to say is you need to find the balance between respecting yourself and also respecting the forces you are working with. You need to do what they tell you to do in order to evolve. But you also need to respect yourself and don't become their slave. Because if you are not centered and if you don't know what you want, the energy will overwhelm you and you will be destroyed by the powers you are working with. It's true for any spiritual path. Light path, dark path, shamanic path. You need to be centered in your understanding of yourself, and you need to want to realize yourself and your own power, and you need to learn how to use your own energy, and you also need to be able to maintain that autonomy, that spiritual autonomy. And that is done through maintaining a balance between doing what spirits wants you to do and doing what you think is the best way for you to self-realize and to understand who you are. Because if you do not understand who you are and you don't rely on your own energy to do things, then you will become over-reliant and overwhelmed by the spirits you are working with. But if you are working only with your own energy, then you will not have knowledge necessary to understand higher mysteries, since you will be chained in the limitations of your own body. So for the end of this video, do the following. Close your eyes. Visualize the sigil of Belial. Within the sigil of Belial, visualize the black sun. And then visualize the sigil of Belial radiating with black light and penetrating your energy field. And vibrate the Hebrew name of God backwards. Do it over and over again until you feel black light penetrating your aura really intensely. And this will also connect you to your animalistic energy centers, which is a really good thing. Therefore, this is a really potent and powerful meditation. Thanks for watching and see you tomorrow.